am stoked. I am thrilled. I am honored to be joined on the phone by Tim Morrison, lead singer with Age of Days. Tim, thanks a lot for taking the time. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for having us on. I appreciate you guys spinning us and talking to us. It's great.
Awesome. Thrilled to do it for you. Now, Age of Days, how did it all kind of begin? Were you guys school friends or?
Well, no, it started a long time ago back in New Brunswick. So we're in a Brunswick-based band, and basically we were playing the local club circuit, that kind of thing, just doing covers, and decided one day that we were going to start doing our own music, writing our own songs and stuff. And I read in a magazine that Mike Turner, former guitar player for Our Lady Peace, had opened a studio in Toronto. So I sent Mike off some demos, and he liked what he heard. And basically, we worked on our Hollywood Ending album with Mike, and things just kind of went from there. And we signed a record deal, and the song started hitting radio, and we had some success in the States, and we started touring with everybody. So just kind of exploded from there, I guess, for us. And that's kind of how it started.
Awesome. Now, you had mentioned you're from the East Coast of Canada. Now, there's a lot of great bands coming from the East Coast. Trues, Sloan, Glory Hound, Matt Mays. Have you ever played with any of those guys?
Every one of them.
Awesome.
We're actually friends with the guys in the Trues, and we've done a show or two with Matt Mays and stuff as well. And I haven't played with Sloan, but those guys are cool too. So some really good East Coast rock out there. So we're pretty proud of that.
Trues are actually playing here in Whitecourt, Alberta, on Labor Day weekend for our annual party in the park. So we're really super stoked for that.
Cool. Well, you'll have to say hi to Colin and John Angus for me.
I will indeed. All right. Now, the band name used to be spelled Age of Days, D-A-Z-E, but now it's Age of Days, D-A-Y-S. Why the name change?
It's funny because I think when we first started out, when we had some U.S. success and stuff too, a lot of people couldn't find us. They had a hard time, everybody just assumed the spelling was Days, D-A-Y-S. So, and originally where the name came from is everybody was so wired and so plugged in, it's kind of the Age of Days. So everybody's kind of in this state of, just sitting on their, Facebook for hours on end and that kind of thing, and no real human interaction. So that's kind of where the name developed from. And to be honest, we went through a lineup change. We had a couple guys that couldn't move from New Brunswick to Toronto, so we're now relocated in Toronto. So literally, it was just a new phase for the band. We worked with a new producer. We worked with Brian Howes, based in Los Angeles, and Brian just produced Nickelback's new album and has produced and co-wrote with Hinder and Daughtry and Puddle of Mud. So it just seemed like a good time for us to reboot. Basically the band with we had a couple new members and with a new album, new material, and that's kind of where it evolved from. So that's where we're at now.
Sort of a fresh start.
Pretty much, absolutely.
Now, you mentioned Mike Turner, and you just mentioned Brian Howes. This leads me into my next question. Brian Howes is a Canadian guy.
Absolutely is.
He's from, I think, Vancouver, I think?
That's right, from Vancouver. Used to front a few bands.
Closure.
Absolutely, and I'm a big fan of Closure. And it's funny how we met through Brian. Is we've done a lot of touring with Hinder and the guys in Rev Theory, and Brian had worked with those guys. And Julian, ironically enough, from Rev Theory, him and I have been writing a couple songs together. And Brian, he kind of sent some stuff Brian's way, and Brian heard some of the demos we were working on for this album, and was impressed and wanted to work with us. So we basically hooked it up and went to Los Angeles, Matt and I, the bass player, and essentially wrote and worked on songs with Brian, and that's where Bombs Away came out of, and a bunch of other tracks. So
awesome. Now, Brian, he, as you mentioned already, he's got a pretty impressive resume. Hinder, Rev Theory. I think he even did stuff with Ozzy.
Absolutely.
Puddle of Mud. Now, how is he helpful for you guys?
Well, first of all, he's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, literally loved working with him. Very down-to-earth guy for the kind of success that he's had, but super good guy. But literally just, for our type of band and being an active rock band, so to speak, it made sense for us. He just kind of understood, where we were at with the band and the kind of sound that the band had and stuff. So it was a logical thing for us. And, Brian's obviously very well connected in the industry and very well respected. So it's, benefited us, in several ways, I guess, that way.
And the best part is he's Canadian.
Absolutely. Exactly. Got to love those Canadian writers and producers.
It helps us, too, because, some of the stuff he contributes to is considered Canadian music, right? So
exactly.
There you go.
Exactly. It kind of works against us a little bit, because we're competing with guys like Hinder, which is kind of CanCon.
Yes,
I think,
and some Puddle of Mud and some
exactly.
Rev Theory, and I think one of the Aussie tracks was even Canadian.
Exactly. There you go.
You guys played, I didn't know this actually, you played the very first Rock on the Range festival in Canada. That was in Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's right. It was a killer show. We had a great time. It was with Shinedown, and Anvil was one of the headliners.
Wow.
Billy Talent, and so yeah, it was pretty cool. It was awesome. We had a good time. Made a lot of friends on that tour, actually, on that show, because we just were on tour, actually. So we stopped in, played the show, and it was awesome. It was a really good time.
Now, do you guys prefer the festival circuit, or do you prefer the arenas, or does it matter?
You know what? That's a good question. It depends. I love club shows, and if it's a good club show, it's cool because, it's smaller, it's more intimate, that kind of thing, which is kind of cool. But, who doesn't want to play the arena shows? I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, you're walking out and there's 10,000 people, or, the festival shows. I mean, we played a massive festival in Rockford, Illinois. We played a festival called the Wingding. And for us, it was huge. I mean, it was 25,000 people. It was us and Shinedown, actually, and Saliva and Hailstorm. So it was a killer show. We loved it. And, there's nothing cooler than walking out on the stage and seeing that many fans into it. And, literally the majority of the audience knew our material and stuff. So it was really cool.
Now, some of your favorite bands, who do you listen to?
It's funny. I listen to 3 Days Grace. I love those guys.
Yeah.
I met those guys, and I like Nickelback. Because I respect those guys. I met Chad when we were in LA and stuff too. It's cool. I mean, Our Lady Peace. I listen to a little bit of everything, and then Breaking Benjamin and the Stateside, Shinedown. That kind of stuff. So I listen to a lot of the stuff and a lot of bands that we actually tour with. So it's kind of funny.
You guys won the 2009 Canadian Radio Music Award as Best New Group or Solo Artist.
That's right, yeah.
You have performed at the ECMAs, the CMW, the North by Northeast. You guys have pretty much done it all. You even played at TLC's Orange County Choppers 10th anniversary in New York City. How was that?
Orange County Choppers was awesome. We got to meet all the guys, from the TV show, and got to, get the tour of the back shop area. We got to see some custom bikes. I'm a big bike enthusiast, so we got to see how the, custom wheels were manufactured, and, the whole deal. So it was pretty cool. I mean, it was a really good opportunity for us, and it was just a fun experience overall. Now,
Tuesday is the big day. Your new album, Radioactivity, comes out. Explain the title of the album.
The idea behind it is that literally everybody else's, you're affected by everybody else's, emotions or reality in a certain way. So you're affected by everybody in your surroundings, more or less. So that's kind of where it came from. It's basically just about how other people affect you and so on.
Now, I would assume, as most every band under the sun nowadays does, it's going to be available for digital downloading as well?
It is, yeah. It's going to be available on iTunes in Canada. We haven't set a U.S. or international date for this stuff yet because we're actually in talks with some labels and some licensing deals down in the States. But it'll be available at your local HMV too. So awesome.
And the big question is, are you releasing it on vinyl, which every band does?
I'd love to. I think we're talking about it. But the thing is, I'd have to go buy a record player.
Yeah, that's the problem, eh?
Yeah, I had one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So, ironically enough, I still have a bunch of old vinyl albums kicking around. So,
awesome. Well, Tim, appreciate the time immensely. Their new album, Radioactivity, out on Tuesday. It'll be available at your local shops like HMV and available online at iTunes, you said.
Exactly. And, we'll be announcing some tour dates soon, so we'll be coming your way. We're going to be doing a cross-Canada tour here soon. So, I'd say within the next 2 weeks, we'll have some dates announced, and away we go.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Thanks a ton.
Hey, thank you so much.